Alright, let's clean up some space here. Open up. Uh, not you, ma'am. I meant the UI.
Spotlight, we have the Lawrence 1970, who has
Okay.
said, how will weapon skills play into a class plus subclass? I think he means IE here. If I will play a cleric slash rogue, i.e., shadow disciple, who
Mm-hmm.
uses a dagger,
Mm-hmm.
will I be able to augment the dagger or the active dagger skills too? If yes, how exactly will they be augmented? Since in my example with the shadow disciple, the augmentation solely happens via the rogue class, but dagger plus rogue, it's not clericy. Will they be augmentable by the main archetype or even both?
Okay,
I think they're a little
this is
confused
yeah.
about
Well,
how it
okay.
works.
Let me clarify. This is a very
Okay.
big
I'm
and complex
confused.
question. So let me just go through real quick as a reminder. And obviously, before I get into that, I just want to say Lex at the Ashes Wiki has done a great job in compiling so much of the information that we have over the years
Okay.
provided with regards to the design of the game. Um, and always make sure
It's a
you're
good plug for the
utilizing that
wiki.
resource when you have questions of these types. But you can also engage with the community because there are a lot of long-standing members of the community who are very familiar with the game designs as well. Those things are all subject to change because we're still in active development. But what I will tell you is that the intent behind the augment system is not to provide new active abilities. They're intended to augment existing active abilities that are provided through your primary archetype. And so your
Mm-hmm.
secondary archetype selection completes your class selection, of which there's
Okay.
64 types, and you get augment skills that can apply certain attributes and mechanics to your existing active skills. So if you have certain abilities like a backstab as a rogue primary archetype, and you take that healer secondary archetype selection, now the properties of your backstab will still remain the same as an active ability. However,
Okay.
it might include things like lifesteal, right? Or it might include things like susceptible weakness to the target and reduces their healing, because the definition of what those augments are intended to provide based on the archetype selected for the augments is within the schools of magic that live for that archetype. So a cleric is about, balancing life and death and the control of those types of hit
So
points.
that would be the
Now, you
leeching
mentioned
and
also
the
in there that
healing
weapon skills,
reduction.
and I'm not sure if you're
Okay.
referring to primary abilities, active abilities that live in the archetypes
Okay, see, that was the
adventuring
part of
skill
this
tree,
that confused
or if
me because, as far as I was aware, like that's how Guild Wars 2 handles their system. A lot of your skills come by which weapon you have in your hand, even in a class to class basis. Like Great Sword for one class is different than Great Sword for another class, more or less. I didn't think this game was doing that, so that's what I was confused about with this question. I'm like, wait, is that actually happening now, or is it like ESO? ESO being another good example of where your weapon determines a significant portion of your skillage, even more so in your class. But no, okay. It looks like they're confused and just decided to take us all into the maelstrom with them. So not much has changed there. Okay. Fair enough.
you're talking about weapon skill trees. Weapon skill trees are a little bit different. Weapon skill trees are skill trees that you can unlock and
Wait,
invest points
wait.
into as
Is
you
it?
continue to develop your experience
Oh
with
god,
certain
is it like
weapon types,
ESO?
certain weapon groups,
Now I'm
like a
even more
dagger.
confused.
And when you're
I'm
doing your
too dumb for
basic
this.
combo attack with those weapons, which is universal for all classes, anybody can use any type of weapon because stats can be changed on these weapon types through crafting and through drops. There will be certain proc effects that live on the weapon skill tree as you advance in them. And those proc effects will be able to interact with
So the
your
weapon skill tree is that?
archetype skills because they will have promotion type effects that occur when they synergize with one another. So hopefully that answers your question and gives you some insight there. But always I would recommend taking a look at the wiki. There's a lot of great information there.
Yes.
Okay, weapon skill tree implies skills, and he even uses skills as an archetype thing, like active abilities. But it almost sounded more like the skill tree for weapons was more of like a passive tree, like World of Warcraft, for example. One of their many iterations, to where it's like enhancements and stuff rather than like new skills. Although maybe you get some new skills through it too. Okay. I'm still confused. It's fine. It's fine. None of that really matters right now. That's all stuff for down the line anyway.
So thank you again to the Lawrence 1970 for leaving us a wonderful comment. And of course, again, like I said, if you leave a comment on our dev update, you too could be spotlighted in our next one. And it has to be the...
So I'm thinking, like, having played through 2 MMOs that use a weapon, assuming they do have a weapon-based skill set, like ESO or Guild Wars 2, having played those 2 games, I don't know if I care for weapon setups, because you end up in this weird situation where you're kind of hamstrung into using certain weapons, because those are just the best weapons. And it doesn't matter how well you try and balance a game or what you're trying to do, there's always just going to be the best weapons, and then everyone's just using those weapons. It adds a certain degree of, at the very least, visual homogenization. Like, everyone looks the same because everyone's running around the same type of weapon, you know? Guild Wars 2 suffers from this a bit. I assume ESO it suffers from it plenty as well. I haven't played as much ESO. Like, in Guild Wars 2, for example, the meta basically exists around 1 or 2 weapons for each class, depending on if you're going power or if you're going conditions. So, let's say double it, assuming the build has viable options for both, for the class. So pretty much everyone's running around with, what's a good example right now? Pretty much every engineer is currently running around with, ooh, shit, I think the meta switched. I think it might be Sword Hollow Smith again. But anyway, they're all running around with the same weapon. It's even worse for engineer because you only get one weapon. You can't swap because you get your kits instead. Good times. So pretty much every time you see an engineer, you're pretty much you're gonna see him with a sword or whatever hell's meta. Rifle was meta for quite a while. It was kind of busted after its mild rework, but so I don't know. I always feel like you're kind of hamstringing things too much when you do that. You're kind of forcing people into very specific. Everything feels the same. Yeah, sure. In games like World of Warcraft, outside of, I guess, Warrior with their weapon-specific stuff, if they even have that anymore. Like, if you use axes, you get this bonus, but if you use swords, you get this little bonus instead. One of them's crit, one of them's whatever. A little extra accuracy, maybe. So, I mean, they had a couple of little things like that for, like, Warrior and whatnot, historically speaking, but for the most part, you slap on whatever weapon either looks cool or is good, and sometimes you still end up in a situation where a lot of people are running around with a specific weapon just because it's so much better than other options. Usually in the case of raid equipment, assuming you even get it to drop, though. I've known a couple of raiders who had, in Classic, who had to take their, what's it called? Gore something. Their rogues, their daggers. They couldn't get an upgraded dagger out of the raids. They were low on the priority. They weren't paying their bribes to the loot master, whatever the case may be. They're raiding in these off-meta daggers because, you know, they can't get the meta stuff. So you still end up in situations like that where it's alright. Yeah, they're not as good, but they're functional. You're still hitting the DPS quota. But, I don't know. I guess it doesn't really matter either way. You're going to be kind of locked into certain areas one way or another.
Full dev update one. Then next up, we've got dev discussion. We have a new dev discussion out. I believe we always tell you kind of what's coming up, but this one is about utility skills. What utility skills do you feel are most important? Are there certain scenarios that should require specific ones? We want to know your thoughts. So please head on over to the forums, toss your feedback and thoughts
My
over
thoughts
there.
on
We always
utility
utilize these. We make
skills.
some amazing reports
Utility
for our development
skills.
team regarding
I
these.
guess
And our next one is going to be regarding esports. There's been a lot of
esport. No,
discussion
God,
about
no, not
over the
esports.
years.
Don't do it.
And you know, where does MMO?
Esports is a
where do
trap.
MMOs
It's
fit
something
into
that has
the
to grow
space? Is
on
it
its
really
own from a
crucial for the space?
community-rooted
Maybe not.
standpoint. Do
So
not
we'd
try
love
and
to hear
force
your guys'
esports.
thoughts about that. And
It
our
never
next
works.
thing here is
Final Fantasy, different weapon,
remember
different
we
job.
announced
Yeah,
the
I mean that's
delicious dev
fine. When the
discussion?
weapon
Well,
is your job,
now we
that's kind of,
have
you know.
some of
I
our
actually
winners,
kind of
and we
like the
wanted to
way
spotlight
Final
them.
Fantasy handles that to a
So
degree.
we have a little video of
I mean,
that. So
you
thank
end
you
up
so
with a
much for
situation where
everybody
everyone's
who
using the same
sent us
weapon again, but
submissions. Um,
you
You
know,
guys voted on which
at least you don't have
weapons
the
you wanted,
illusion.
and it was really cool seeing
Hey, look
some
at
of them
Narc.
be made.
I
Yeah.
watched Narc's video that he did as his profession as a baker, and I thought he did a great job. Look at Shaka Khan; those look great.
Yeah, the glowing
Wow.
ones really turned out pretty cool too, I think.
I think these
Oh my
Like
are
drinks
gosh.
and
game-inspired
also a meal, which was cool.
food and
Wow, look at
drinks.
these. These are unbelievable and such great great picture taking here. Oh, Nicholas, wow. These look good. I'm starving.
Yeah. I know, we're like, it's lunchtime yet?
I'm starving. Oh, look at the
Nice
doggo.
donkey.
Yeah. I love the setup of some of these. They're so pretty.
Anyways, yeah.
Wow.
Glam-wise,
we
it gets
have
very
got
bright.
some
Ooh, that is a
amazing
good
photographer.
point. That looks pretty good. Honestly, most of these look pretty good, but looks pretty good. That's a good example. The glam system can fix that up a lot. Especially if you allow, I mean, in like Guild Wars 2, you can't really do that because your weapon is half your skill set, so people need to know what you're using. So it's not like you can have a sword, but you can glam it to an axe anyway, and it'll be fine, because what your weapon plus your class combined is what you're dealing with. So from a PvP perspective, you got to be able to read what your opponent is, which is also why they lock you into only using like transmog for light armor, etc., to maintain that readability. But I guess in like a Warcraft scenario where you can realistically take a sword and transmog it as an axe, that helps a lot. So a good transmog system could fix a lot of homogenization issues, at least from a visual perspective. That's a fair point. I didn't even think about that. All right.
For we've got some Instagram experienced.
Although I guess the point is, this game does have at least moderate PvP focus to a degree, so readability is going to be a thing. So it's really going to depend on how important the weapon is to determining how you're going to approach and fight somebody.
Yeah, Zara's got like the little skull in there. It's so good. But yeah, thank you all so much. We loved seeing these. The team did. We were,
Yeah, those were nice.
we were originally
It was
not
good.
sure how many
It was
people
a neat
would
little.
participate,
I don't even know if it's a
with that,
competition, but
it was
a neat
really
little
cool seeing
community
it,
thing.
and we appreciate
I always
it.
like when dev
That was
teams
great.
do
Dev
things
team
like
was just so
that to like
excited.
build into the
We're definitely
community,
gonna have more cool
get people
recipes.
involved.
I know there's been talks of maybe a recipe book later down the line, post-launch, so
Okay.
maybe some things that you'll see.
I have friends
for
who
those of
collect
you
recipe
enjoy
books.
Enjoy that kind of stuff. As somebody
And they
who
love
enjoys
quirky
cooking,
and
I
weird
love
recipe
cooking and
books,
baking.
like
It
those
was very, very
dedicated to
cool seeing
games
that,
or
so
IPs or
thank
whatever.
you.
Like I believe one
And then the
friend
last thing that
has
we
a
want to remind
recipe
you guys
book for
about,
Harry
and this
Potter
is more of
stuff or
less of a
something.
reminder, and it's more
They're very
because
proud of
we've
it.
gotten a lot of questions.
I don't think
The
they've
PR
ever
inbox
cooked
is full
anything
of
out of it,
questions.
though.
CS has been getting questions. I know our community team, Roshan and Vacnar, have been getting questions regarding it. But as you guys know, the shop update, our pre-order packs have ended. We are no longer selling pre-order packs. We did give a plethora of months notice whenever we put them up, but we let you know when they were going to end. And so it's been a long, many, many months that we have let people know in advance. But we tried to give as many reminders as we could, email reminders, social reminders. We tried to do our best, but we do want to let you know that we will continue to engage with the community and content creators to find other ways for folks to get giveaways and things of that sort. So stay tuned for that stuff, especially as we get closer to Alpha 2. And then beyond that, after our internal, or maybe, some of our external testing as well, after we get some, testing that we're satisfied with and we feel like we are able to, service additional testers, we will definitely find
Okay, so
more
they have
methods
too
for
many
you guys to
people who
access
want to
the game.
test the
It
game,
won't be through
so they
pre-order
have
packs, it'll
to
be through other
rein
ways
it
to
in a
purchase.
little. Got it.
But yeah, we'll definitely find ways for you guys too. But we also want to make sure that we can service you well. So if we
Yes.
can't do that, we don't want to open a
Yeah, and
Pandora's box.
I know it's weird. I have I have gotten some commentary from my colleagues
They're like,
within the
why don't you
industry.
want our money?
Yeah, I know. Well, also from some industry colleagues, I've gotten questions about. Wait a minute, you closed your pre-order shop? We're like, yes. We want to ensure that the testing is going to go as we anticipate it to, and quality is important to us, obviously during
Smart.
that. And that's why we found it appropriate and gave ample notice course, as Margaret said, to close that pre-order shop. But as the testing continues, we will give you guys updates. So be on the lookout for that. We will update you as testing continues and is successful.
See, it's things like that that are good to hear, because that's... So a problem with gaming nowadays is it's all very profits now, who cares about later? Like, it can all burn down later. We don't care. Quarterly reports are coming up. We want it right now. We want results right now. We want numbers right now. That's a big issue in it's an issue pretty much everywhere. It's because it comes from elsewhere and infects and et cetera, et cetera. The CEOs are all so heavily inbred with each other's fumes that if one finds a good strategy, they're all using it. And I should probably air quote the hell out of good, because it's ultimately destructive for the company down the line, as we're seeing a lot nowadays. The repercussions are finally coming. The bell has tolled. The seeds have been sown and the Reaper man has come. But this one potentially hurts. I mean, I don't know exactly what their sales figures look like right now for the pre-orders and stuff. I don't know how prevalent they still were. Maybe it's only a minor hit. Maybe it's no hit at all. Maybe it's a big hit. But they're hurting the books right now to ensure that things are smoothed out and cleaned up in the long run. For longevity, that's a good sign. That's forward thinking. Over immediate quarterly reports. That's always a promising sign, because that means somebody at least has some capability of managing things properly.
Which you're about to see some interesting testing here in just a little bit. Yes.
Which, that's a great segue, Stephen. Why don't you kind of take it away? I know maybe you want to do a little prefacing before.
Yes.
Preface before the preface.
I love to preface before the preface. I'll preface multiple prefaces within the video, but I preface here in the stream because it's important that you guys understand, obviously, that this is still a work in progress. And I want to talk to you a little bit about what work in progress means.
Well, we already know that. Let's scooch up to the actual thing now. I think we've heard what we need to here. Alright, where did it start at? Nope. Here we go. Slow down a bit. The Caravan PvP preview. So...
Hello, everyone, and welcome to...
Is that my end or their end? Oh, that's my end. 480. That's tough. Why the hell's it at 480?
We have
Spooky.
a pretty exciting showcase for you. I know it's one that many of you have been waiting for quite a while.
I see some UI here. Let's take a look. I don't think the UI is finalized yet, but how's it shaping up? Chat, pretty standard. Nothing too crazy there. Functional, classic. I like it well enough. Very minimalist UI for right now. Otherwise, I don't necessarily mind that for the health bar up here and whatnot. Okay. Alright. Very minimalist.
But
works for me. Menu
begin,
down here in the corner.
I do want to provide you with a little bit.
At least it doesn't feel excessively cluttered. Minus the raid UI, but when you're raiding, you're screwed anyway. There's no way to minimize that.
Bugs, obviously, work in progress UI and art that you're going to see here, which will continue to improve. But with that being said, and performance as well. With that being said, we're going to take a look today at some PvP.
For Agatha.
And we're going to talk about PvP.
For Agatha. For the Masons. Is this Caravans. Ashes of Creation, or?
And I am joined by some of our glorious developers.
Or is this Chivalry too?
Heard from in the past. We have one of our glorious senior designers, Mr. Chris. Chris, how you doing, buddy?
Oh, I'm just wonderful. Thanks for having me.
Happy to have you, but I know you've been putting a lot of work into this, and it's great to see it kind of come together here. And I think we're also joined by two other glorious designers on the combat side. Bucky, Trat, how you guys doing?
Doing good. Yep, good to be back. And I've lost count.
many times.
Ketchup is basically a fruit smoothie.
We also have a number of different testers.
Not necessarily incorrect.
Who are assisting in getting ready for Alpha 2.
It's got about as much sugar as a fruit smoothie.
Is going to be starting in the third quarter of this year.
There's still a lot of work to be done, and part of that work is finding all the bugs and all the crashes and hardening the systems as we prepare for Alpha 2.
Guessing
But
those are
today,
the
like I said, we're
testers
gonna be
down there
talking
on the
about a
hill,
really fun system as it
waddling
relates to
around like
caravans.
antsy little
and
ants.
One of the most important aspects of caravans is that there is no reward.
Even at that distance, the animations are smooth, so
creation.
it looks like
And
there's
the caravan
minimal
system is a
animation
particular beast
LOD,
because it is
at least right now.
how materials and commodities are transited within the world of Vera. And it's difficult to navigate the world of Vera. It's a large world, and the terrain is not always kind, especially to large vehicles like a caravan. And today we're going to talk about, as you transit this world, if the node structures are not advancing with you and the world state isn't changing and you're not seeing different bridges being constructed, sometimes you might have to ford rivers. And rivers can be quite the obstruction for you and present some danger. Wow, look at these, look at this crew. You'll notice that this crew, they all have swords above their head and they're blue to me, but that's because we've discovered that a caravan is taking the perilous journey nearby and trying to reach a location where they'll be rewarded for all their hard work.
You may not like it, chat, but this is roguishness at its peak. This right here, this is a well-oiled assault machine. How could they not win? You could tell there's some eagerness over here. I saw him jumping. Alright, so one thing, raid UIs will never be great when it's many people. Yeah, no, when it comes to raid UIs, you're just screwed. There's no way to... Like, this is a pretty decent, because it's not taking up an insane amount of room. Now, does it show enough information? That's going to depend on how important buffs, debuff control ends up being, but... as far as life and health go, or life and mana go, yeah, it seems to show enough. Like, it's good enough. It's clean looking, too, which is nice. It's readable. But anyway, that aside, caravans are an area of trepidation for me in games like this. Because I've yet to find an example of a caravan or transport style system that has added more than it has taken away. Obviously, there's examples of like New World, where originally that was kind of the point, and traversing from one point to another, and which is why their storage system is so bad, and for the longest time was completely disconnected, because you were supposed to have to brave the journey with your stuff. But the problem is, it wasn't practical. Like, everything was heavy. You have to move things in large quantities. You can only carry a small amount at a time. I don't know. Like, the idea was originally to have caravan-style stuff in New World, which they ended up scrapping because turns out people didn't really care for it all that much. And then I think the games... Arcade probably did it the best, or amongst the best, from what I hear. I tried to partake in it once or twice. It was a lot of pain in the ass, not a lot of payoff, it felt. And half the time, the payoff wasn't even for me. It was for somebody else, whoever the hell managed to kill me. I remember that fateful boat trip with my trade supplies. I guess another example in a non-PvP context is something like Valheim, where you ideally need to have a few bases around to make sure you have access to certain resources, like refining stations and whatnot, considering you can't teleport. Well, I mean, there's ways around that if you have additional servers you can jump into. But you can't, as intended, carry things through a portal, so you can't fast travel with certain items, usually metals and ores. Which means you have to get them from point A to point B, and one of the easier ways to do that is to refine it all down, which helps you with the weight situation, and then you load it all up onto a boat and start a shipping. Which is neat the first time or two you have to do it, but when you're playing for 3 weeks, and suddenly Oh god, I need to go back out to the swamp and get a little more iron. Alright, someone hoist up or down the sails. Cut something. I don't know. There's a lot of ropes. They do stuff. Figure it out. Start pulling them. Maybe we'll catch the wind. Maybe we won't. If not, you're paddling. You know, that kind of thing. And then it's just this hassle, because then you gotta hope the wind isn't in your face, and let's be honest, if you've played Valheim, you know the wind is in your face like 80% of the time. I'm pretty sure it's programmed to be blowing in the direction you don't want it to be blowing in. So, sure, the first couple of times it's kind of neat getting the logistics down, figuring things out, and then about the 10th time you're doing it, you just want to die, and at that point, you've figured out you can just switch to a different world, plow your stuff into a chest in a base, log out, and then do your quick travel back, and then log back into the other world, pick the stuff out of the chest, log back into the main world, and boom. You just fast traveled your stuff, and aside from the handful of psychopaths out there that really, really, really enjoy sailing into the wind for 40 minutes at a time, several times a day, everyone pretty much uses either the mods or options to disable the teleportation limit, or they use the I'm not even sure if you'd call it an exploit, but the kind of pseudo exploit thing where you log out, join a different server, etc. Now, PvP is where it changes a bit, because the PvP could be compelling enough content on its own right to make the caravans worthwhile, but my concern there is the caravans are going to fall into one of two categories. They're either going to be too important, you're going to be forced into it, and people aren't going to enjoy it or like it, or the alternative is they're not going to be important enough, the content's not going to be engaging enough, and eventually, after that honeymoon period, nobody's going to do it. Now, I think that's going to fall into the former rather than the latter, especially for guilds running and operating nodes and what have you. So, I have concerns. I have yet to see a caravan system done especially well.
Little
We'll
do they
see.
know, we are here waiting for them. And the bandits are going to attempt to take this caravan. Chris, talk to me a little bit about the
This
risk
isn't
of
a
caravan
rogue
travel
trader?
and what people are about to
Yeah,
see.
we'll get to Rogue Trader in a bit.
Yeah, I mean, well, you risk everything you're traveling with when you run a caravan, right?
Finally,
It's
some more
definitely
rants
way
about
more
Ashes of
efficient
Creation.
than
Sup, Raider?
running a
How you
bunch of
doing?
goods in your inventory to and from nodes, but it's definitely a lot more dangerous.
Absolutely. Rangers, if you guys want to come over here with me, I've just gotten word that there might be a caravan down here approaching.
So we are functionally
But
going to
they
get to
appear have
see
some
what the
defenders. I can
caravan
see them. I
PvP
think
is going to
they
look
might even
like.
see us here in the distance.
A bit staged, but it'll be an idea
What do you
anyway.
guys say we engage them? Do we want to just kind of ambush them here? I don't think they can see us.
We fight.
You guys should be stealthy about it.
Okay, I got a target, McStackerson. Rangers, we should open up on them right when they kind of arrive here. Let them come up a little
See,
bit closer.
this is
Prepare
This is
your
my
snipe.
prime example. Now, obviously, we're going to see it when it hypes up and things are happening. We're going to get to see it when it hits its peak because they've staged the PvP. But take a look at what's going on here.
I got a target, McStackerson.
Right here. This is the gameplay around caravans. You slowly huddle along with the caravan, pretending you're not bored out of your mind, waiting for anything interesting to happen. This is going to be, what, 60, 80% of your caravan time? Just waiting or hoping something happens. Or if you're really you're hoping nothing happens, I guess. And this is the gameplay.
Rangers, we should open up on them right when
This
they
is
kind
the
of
gameplay.
arrive here.
This is what
Let them-
concerns
let them
me.
come up a little bit closer.
Especially if caravans end up being important. Because you have to do this then. This becomes not optional. Some games have tried making it so there's constant PvE threats, but that just ends up slowing things down. The PvE threats are never significant enough to matter. And it just takes even longer that you're standing around the caravan, because you got to chase off wolves every so often. Or, oh god, maybe a couple of bandits are coming over with their crossbows. Coden's Exiles kind of did that. If you were transporting something, now it was a very small system. It was just their treasures that you could transport from one place to another, and you had to walk them. But you would occasionally get ambushed while walking back. And what did you do? You drop the damn piece of treasure, you walk over, you dispatch the enemy very quickly, you go back, you pick up the treasure, and you continue on your way. It's very slow, very trudging, not that different from this. I did it once or twice. I don't think I would ever care to do it again. And, you know, that's kind of where you end up with. A bunch of people walking around, an object moving slow as balls, waiting for anything to happen. What's up, Megania? It's always a choke point full of PKs.
I have no idea.
Maybe not.
Actually, let's switch targets over to Nastaris. Let's open in 3, 2.
Oh god, they're all gonna focus fire. He's gonna insta-die. He's been following this damn caravan around all day, and he doesn't even get to participate because he got picked out.
Them. Go.
He's just gone. That's the peak of his fun on this caravan. That's it. That's all the fun he gets.
Oh my god.
Oh no. I hope he had a blast. It looked like he did. Couple of blasts anyway.
Bloodshed.
And let's be honest, when it comes to caravan gameplay, it's almost always attacker advantage. Because the attackers have the freeform combat where the defenders have to defend the caravan and have to be around it, so they're an easy pick-off and start-up like you just saw. So it's inherently an imbalanced combat style. Unless there's mitigating things put in at some point. Like maybe the caravan can have some built-in defenses that help. I don't know, somebody slapped a flamethrower on the top of it or something. But otherwise, this is it. This is caravans. Does the attacking force have like twice the people too? Maybe not quite. A few extra looks like, but
take down the caravan.
And then from the attacker's perspective, you now have a giant health bar that you have to slowly chip through while nothing else is happening. Is that enough time for enemy reinforcements to arrive and do anything about it? Probably not. If they're going to be here for about a minute, plinking that, maybe 2. So unlikely, unless there happen to be reserves in the wings very nearby. But if that were the case, why not have them with the caravan to have prevented this situation in the first place? Or maybe there's a group off in the distance, kind of lying low, just out of sight. But in a video game, it's almost impossible to do that because line of sight and fog of war are very different in a video game than they are in real life. Kind of hard to move a bunch of people without noticing in an MMO setting or video game setting. So far, this does not instill me with a lot of hope for the caravan system, but we'll see what they have to say, I guess. Now, if the caravan system doesn't end up being mandatory or necessary or required, and you can just, you function perfectly fine without it, it'll be fine. And there's
Oh my god!
Pillage your loot!
Nobody grab the loot. Nobody grab the loot.
Okay.
What just happened here, Chris? Bucky, talk to me a little bit about
the
what
caravan
we just saw.
exploded.
This
It
caravan
vomited
is now destructed. What does
value.
That mean?
Yeah, so this caravan was loaded with a combination of...
The destroyed caravan does look
like,
cool, though. I like the way that...
commodity crates and
looks good.
material crates.
Okay, alright. So these crates have different contents in them.
Yeah, so like the last caravan live stream, we transited a bunch of commodities, those special goods you bought with Glint. Well, obviously, we can steal them now that we've killed their caravans. If you want to open up one of these guys with a green little symbol on it.
Okay, I'm up there. Where you at?
I'm right here, right next to you. One of these guys.
Got it. Okay, I can interact with it. I see that there's stolen commodities.
Yeah, so you can go ahead and loot those.
Okay, so
now
you
don't actually get the commodity that it was. You get these special certificates that we will offload at the node we're gonna head to after this for
Okay.
some monies.
Okay.
Nice, I like the money.
So it's not like
and then
a
there's a second kind of crate here. If you come turn
a
around
complete
and walk back
transfer
here,
of wealth,
this
but
would
one
put this
side
black
does lose
icon.
all the wealth, the other side just
Now this is
doesn't
a
gain it all.
material crate, which means they were transiting their materials as well.
Oh my god, they have a bunch of rubies.
Oh, never mind.
Oh, spicy.
So for
I know. Let me
for
take
the
a look
main
at these
materials,
rubies.
you still get the
Oh, nice,
so it
okay, I
can
have
be a
30 of the
complete transfer
rubies.
of resources then. All right.
Nice.
But now, obviously, this is too much for us to carry, right? That's one of the aspects of the of the caravan system is that it provides you large carrying capacity. What do we do when there's
Right.
too much for us to carry on our backs?
So there's an item in your inventory that you can use to summon an empty caravan that you have stashed at a node. If I recall correctly, you stashed one at Winstead nearby.
I do.
All right, so they're trading off caravans. Once you complete and then the losing team has a chance to come back and at least regain some sense of vengeance, I suppose. That's better than it could be. Although with as many people that are there, could they not actually just pick everything up and leave with it? I don't know how much it all weighs, but considering he picked a few things up, 2 crates worth, and doesn't seem too hamstrung by it, I feel like that group of like 20 people is going to have... How many people are there? How many people? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6... so 8, 16, 20, 24 people, roughly. Oh, are those 5s? 26 people? However many it is. God. I feel like they could all just collectively collect it all and then run off, scamper off into the woods with no chance for recourse from the people who got ambushed. Especially depending on how far away they had to go. So I don't know about that. There could have been some interesting counterplay, like you essentially get a period of time as both the defender and the attacker, if you so will it. Although then that still becomes the issue of you still ultimately lost more than you gained, even if you do get back and win the fight again, because you have the attacker's advantage. Because certain things have been turned into the stolen commodity things, and something tells me it's probably not going to track to turn back afterwards, so I don't know.
Have one at Winstead. Let me summon that. So out in the wild right now, I am able to summon
They're in
this
your character.
caravan.
Their own caravan.
And
They
it's gonna come
they might
from
if they want
Winstead.
everything, or they can
Yep.
just pick whatever they can
Now,
put in their
the way
pockets and
summoning
flee.
works is the length of that summon is determined by where you're. Right? If you were to summon from Winstead, which is pretty close to us, the wait's not going to be super long. But if you're summoning from, very, very far away, it's going to be a rough wait.
Okay. All right. So now I've begun summoning my empty caravan to come pick up these supplies that we've just acquired. And obviously, if you were in the previous raid, you can go ahead and leave that raid. Because right now there's some still outstanding functionality required on the UI front, but it will be intended for that to be seamless in the future. But now you guys are joining my raid to defend this. And once this caravan arrives, it's going to allow us essentially to grab these outstanding supplies. Is that right?
Correct, yeah. And another additional reason why you may want to summon a caravan instead of having all your people here pick up this stuff
Okay.
is you're going to get more for bringing the crate unopened to
Ah,
a node, right? So
okay,
that
okay.
material crate.
All right,
you got-
so that does create an incentive then to push for the caravan, unless you're getting enough value. So it's one of those things where you have to weigh value for time. Is it worth waiting for another caravan and going through the process of hauling it? How much extra do you get for the unopened crates versus the open crates? Does it matter? And if time is money, and the time investment for getting the crates there isn't worth the time, like people are just going to come snag whatever they can put in their pockets and head out anyway, just because it's far more efficient that way. Gamers are creatures of efficiency. They're going to find the most efficient way. So I think in most cases, as long as you're walking away with far more than you invested into the attack itself, whether that's consumables or who the hell knows what, whatever, repairs after the fighting, etc., etc. As long as you're walking away with significantly more than you put in and enough to make it worthwhile, people are going to take the path of least resistance. They're not going to put the crates on a caravan and risk getting jumped again and have to invest more money into defending what they're now trying to get back and potentially lose it all as well. And No, they're just going to stuff their pockets and run. At least they're trying to think about these things. Hey, we have an angle to incentivize them forming their own caravan, but will it actually work out? That's always the question you have to ask yourself as a designer. Will it work out, and how are the players going to interact with this system? Knowing full well the characteristics of an MMO player. And one of those key ones being optimization.
You said 30 rubies from it.
Yes.
You're going to get way more.
They will just murder people
If
close
we
to the
take
start and
that
finish point.
to
That's
the
a good
node
point.
without
That's an
opening
example. It could just be ambushes always happen at the
That's
beginning or
awesome.
end of the caravan track.
And now,
And never in
you
the
know,
middle.
we just happened upon
Which-
obviously this caravan here that was carrying supplies.
Now that you've said that, brings up a new point. Because that now wastes potentially more time from the defenders. Because, well, what's the point of attacking the caravan halfway if we're going to have to deal with it there? We just attack them right out of the gate, which is probably best case scenario. We attack them right out of the gate. But wait, they could have more reinforcements and defense here. Could be harder to tackle it. So out in the wild and wilderness, they're more isolated, more cut off. We could tackle them better. Honestly, I don't think people are going to attack close to the destination. There's too much extra risk. Reinforcements, good Samaritans, things like that. Whereas out in the wilderness, you can at least just come in, swing in, hit hard, hit fast, win the fight, break the caravan, get out. With a much lower chance of reinforcements or complications. So I don't necessarily think people are going to target directly around, unless it happens that the caravan is going into hostile territory for some reason, and the ambushing team happens to own that node. Then yeah, they might attack right at the end when they have the advantage, potentially, in regards to reinforcements, or a quicker respawn in. But I think it's more likely that they'll just hit the caravan, open the chest, loot the stuff, and run. As of right now, from my perspective, from if I were the one engaging in these attacks, that's what I would do. All the extra superfluous systems, who cares? We got what we came for. We're now richer than we were before, and we've denied these resources somebody else. That's a win. Why complicate it more than that? Take it and go.
Talk to me a little bit about the intended interaction of hunting caravans, right? What does that mean? Can you progress in that? Can you identify these caravans from a distance? Is it intended to be diegetic, or is it, aided with minimap? Like, talk to me a little bit about that, Bucky and Chris.
Yeah, so hunting a caravan is tending to be a lot more diegetic, right? You plant spies in other guilds. You, build your information network in the world.
I will say this
Era,
is smart, because this is actually a big element of
through whatever
Guild
means
Wars
you
2
can,
World v
right?
World, spies.
Now there is progression paths
and
involved with attacking and defending.
essentially
a caravan,
recon setups.
that can aid you
and that
in
can actually
doing
create
so.
kind of an
Either
interesting
with better
element of
equipment
gameplay.
for it, faster ways to open crates more, yield from crates, and if you're a defender, right, better components.
So I like the
for
idea
your
of you
caravans,
just having to have people
stuff like
watching
that.
the roads and stuff, and then
Okay.
the problem with that then
the
becomes
caravan-
communication, ease of communication. I sneezed. We're good. I'm gonna survive. I think I blew my back out, but it's alright. I didn't need it anyway. So you now run into the issue of, okay, so you got the spies. Yeah, they have to waste time keeping an eye out, but some people actually enjoy that gameplay. Like, there's people who, in like World v World and Guild Wars 2, dedicate their entire, they just spy. And I don't even necessarily mean just rolling a new character on a new account on the enemy team. That spying is generally frowned upon. But like doing recon, like sitting out and watching enemy movement and reporting movement back. But in a game like this, where distance and travel time is important, being able to instantaneously get that message across via Discord or message or whisper or whatever does kind of take away a little bit of the benefit, I guess, of the size of things and trying to create obscurity because, well, we got a report of a caravan over there. We can get to this place quickly, and then boom. 2 minutes, we'll be there, And then you gotta have counter spies. Well, at least that could be interesting, though. Spy on spy action. It's like red versus blue. Honestly, I do like that idea, though. I do like the idea of recon and spying and whatnot. being kind of an incentivized system based on, hey, if you want these caravans, well, you can either patrol the road with your gang squad, probably inefficient, not the best way to handle it, or you can have a more centralized location like a headquarters, keep your people there stationed on the ready, and then once your spies out watching any of the ping, hey, we're going that way. So that at least creates some dynamic gameplay, some sense of logistics at the very least. I kind of like it.
Has arrived. So now I should be able to.
That was pretty quick. I don't think they did a time cut or anything, but
Up
he
to
did say it was
these
coming from a nearby location, so it might be quick.
Crates and collect the cargo. I see.
Or run the cargo
you
over.
should
I'm
have
sure
an
that box
ability
will
to
be in
collect
the ding
Oh
and
my
dent
god! Yeah, I have
section.
a whole bunch of cargo that I can select from.
That'll be a discount,
So I'm
30%
just gonna
off.
Grab each of these cases.
We'll give it to you half price. Small scratches, nothing more.
Okay. I have a very large.
Actually, for
chassis.
scratch and dent, you're usually paying about a third of the price to a quarter of the
And
price.
I've collected a number of them. Let me see if I can collect some more. There's a case of Everburn scented candles.
Mmm.
And
Overpriced.
some more scented candles. All right, I think we have grabbed pretty much everything that we didn't already loot. Now, talk to me a little bit about the.
I guess one of the
differences between
upsides
looting
is
here
it
kind
looks
of
like at
at
least the
spot
caravans aren't
and
automated,
collecting the cargo with the caravan.
so you can kind of do
Hey,
some weird
take
stuff
it
with
home,
them.
yeah,
Maybe
so,
take some off the
looting at
beaten
spot,
path
obviously,
choices.
you can do right away, and the problem with that though is you forfeit a lot of the materials. A lot
God,
more
that
get
is
lost
painfully
as you crack
slow,
open
though.
those crates. But if
It's
you're
like
able
doing
to
an escort
have your own
quest.
caravan,
And the
right there, you
NPCs
can loot and you'll get more of the
trailing
more of the
40 feet
overall
behind
materials
you.
that way. But there will be progression
While
for,
you're RP
like you
walking.
were saying about the Highwayman faction versus the Defender faction.
Oh,
and
it's speeding
maybe
up a
there'll be
little
some
bit now.
progression where you can get better
Oh,
loot
and then it
percentages
stopped.
out in the field.
Oh, now it's speeding up again. I guess the horses have a stamina bar? I don't see that on the UI
Now,
anywhere.
we
Maybe it's
talked
a burst of
little
speed.
bit ago about stolen goods.
So what do we have here? Okay, that's pickup stuff. That is, who knows. This looks like the one he's using to get the small bursts of speed. Okay, I don't know what the hell this is. Some kind of a protective barrier. So is the implication here that you can get stuff? You can upgrade your caravan to have abilities or defensive options? Because I'm trying to make sense of what this is. It's a caravan skill.
Stolen supplies. What are the
It almost looks like a... Does that look like a bear? What does that look like? Does it look like a barrier? I know it's really small and hard to see. And the stream compression probably isn't helping because I'm compressing an already compressed stream. But it's purple. It either looks like a barrier or like some kind of an AoE thing where it's like surrounding the area. Very purple. Oh, I kind of hope he uses it so we can see what it
intent
is.
of that system? How does
If
stolen goods
that's the
and supplies
case, that
work
could
differently than
even
commodities?
out the attacker's advantage, give the defenders a
So
little
when you
something to
crack
go off of.
open
Oh,
a
he just
crate of
used it.
commodities,
What
you
was
get,
that? What did it
you don't
do?
get maybe there'll be some progression.
I
where
think
you
he
can,
just used it.
get better loot percentage out in the field.
Okay, yeah, that's the burst of
Very
speed.
cool.
Okay, so what does this
Now we
do?
talked a little bit ago about
He's going to use it here in a second.
stolen goods, stolen supplies. What are the intent of that system? How does stolen goods and supplies work differently than commodities?
So when you
No, he
crack
didn't
open
use it.
a
He used
crate
the
of
speed
commodities,
boost
you
again.
get,
And ran
you don't
out
get the commodities
of
themselves since
stamina,
they're,
or
like,
mana, or
traded
whatever.
cargo
Okay.
items. You actually get stolen goods, and you can use those stolen
So
commodity certificates to go and turn the
when he uses that stuff, so is that his, or is that that's the caravan stats? Okay. So I was thinking if it's based off of the caravanier's stats, then there's some certain advantage there to higher mana classes being in the driver's seat because you can do more, but it looks like that's not the case. With this UI up here, it looks like it has its own little mana bar. I guess that could also be a thing to where you can try and pick off the Caravanier. So there could be some benefit to having a higher defense, more health person piloting it, even at the expense of not being able to cast skills. I actually kind of like that better. I almost kind of wish the skills were based off of the person piloting rather than the device itself. Because that at least creates some decision-making points and strategizing. Do we put the higher health, higher defense dude up front who's not going to be able to use the skills as much or as frequently? Or do we go with somebody who's a little squishier caster-oriented who might get picked off more easily, but they're going to be popping skills off more regularly? Or effects. I hope they use the fourth one. I'm very curious as to what it does. Sup, Olsen? The Rogue Trader is going native on a medieval world. Yeah. We'll be getting to Rogue Trader here relatively soon.
Submitted a black market to get some money back.
Okay, nice. And that's an upgrade path that's available at different marketplace buildings.
Yeah, that's a specialization of the market. Normally,
I
you
guess
can
he's probably
sell them
not going to
back
use it
anything,
unless
but
they have
it's
a
not gonna
reason
be very
to.
much. Like the normal vendors of Vera don't want those stolen goods, but if you know the right people, you can get your money's worth.
You
out
gotta
of
find
it.
a fence.
Very nice, very nice. Now, obviously, we just had a large-scale, relatively large-scale combat
Leisure domain.
between two of these raids. Trad, talk to me a little bit about kind of, how our approach towards Alpha 2 is going to incorporate
Oh, hey, it's
additional
Anduin. He's
development
joining a
of
new
this
IP.
group-based combat and PvP.
That's good.
And kind of where
I
we
feel
are
like
with it
he's
now.
kind of been
Yeah,
overplayed a
absolutely.
bit in the World of
As
Warcrafts.
you've seen in a lot of
It's about time he branched out, did something new.
archetype live streams, there's been a lot of, representation of single player combat. Like, we usually go in there with 1 to like maximum of 3 people just because we want to really highlight like the abilities. But here you're obviously seeing that much larger scale scenario, and that's where we're going to continue moving forward,
This
thinking
chat-
about, like the group utility.
this-
that's what like
This
adds a
chaos,
lot
the
of,
jumping, the
class identity
zigzagging, the
to
back and
character, right?
forth
Like,
thing.
when your party invites me, or your raid invites me, like, what do I provide to the group?
This is a sign of
That's where
boredom.
we
These
sort of
people are
shifted
bored.
our focus on
They're
this,
waiting for anything to
separation of
happen, so they're
abilities behind
spamming their own skills just to keep themselves entertained while they
Okay.
slowly trudge along.
I see there's some dead brown.
Do you know
birds
how I
here.
know
That's
that, chat?
concerning.
Do you know how I know that's what this is, that they're bored? Because that's what I do when I'm bored in an MMO. I jump around, I run in circles, I zigzag, I do what I call the Kerjiggle, where I spam my A and D key rapidly. It works best in Guild Wars 2 because of the way the animations flow into each other. It's almost like a little dance of death, or intimidation, or romance. Really, it's all purpose. It's more the tone in which you're doing it. You gotta menace, or not menace. But anyway, I do that kind of thing. When I'm bored, I will just start firing skills off, just moving around, just jumping a lot. Because I'm bored and I want to hit keys and I want to do something. What I see here is a lot of people who are bored walking with a caravan. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they're all they just can't contain their excitement. Certainly possible. I've been wrong before, and damn it, I will be wrong again. But just from my own perspective and the perspective of people I've met and known and played MMOs alongside, when I see this kind of behavior, I see a bunch of bored people hoping something happens.
Oh, let's hitch a left here.
Jumping
Okay.
dances during
And-
boring escort. Yeah, exactly.
So what we're gonna do down here?
Or sitting there waiting for the raid.
is-
Just,
We need an alternate path to reach Marilith because the path by road is a bit obstructed. Some of the bridges have not been developed yet. So what are we about to do now?
So there's this nifty thing that I think you alluded to last time we talked about Caravan.
so the bridge is down because the node
We
hasn't
are
been
gonna
claimed or
traverse the
advanced
river
yet.
Instead of
So your nodes will have an impact on the environment around you, especially for secondary systems
So
like
what you're gonna do is
caravanning,
roll up
where you
here
now
and
have to ford a
go ahead
river
and
because the
walk
bridge
caravan as
wasn't
far
done.
into the water as it'll let you.
What, is it going to pop out floaty devices? The horses are going to get little water
This is
wings?
Beautiful Carfin.
I don't think the
You
horses
should
can
have
pull
an
that through the
ability on your
water.
Caravan hotbar.
Yeah,
to
water, ford.
Transition to raft.
Convert to raft.
Okay, I'll give him that. It's neat.
Okay.
I like that.
And I just deployed this.
Yep,
That's actually
just
kind of
deploy it.
neat. It was a little jarring the way it kicked him
Oh,
out,
that
but
is awesome.
and then you have to manually
So
transfer the
this
stuff from the cart
process
to the
takes a few
raft.
minutes.
Maybe?
You're gonna have to basically wait and defend your caravan while you're transitioning to raft, but riding on the water has its benefits.
It's harder to attack somebody on the water.
I
Yeah.
love this. Now, you can still target the dock, right? And part of this transition process is again
Okay, you
the
don't
risk
move
that
the
you're
stuff. The
introducing
game just
for
does
the
over time.
reward of having greater
enough.
flexibility in movement through the land.
So there's not even a sense of logistics here where the players are the ones doing it and they have to figure out how to do it efficiently and quickly and with the least amount of hassle. No, you just stand around spamming your jump key waiting for something to happen some more. Kind of a neat idea, but I just don't think it's going to be engaging enough gameplay in the long term.
And that risk is basically you're a sitting duck here.
Peak MMO
lack of a better
gameplay. True.
Yeah, basically.
This is where
like I said,
emotes
you
come
can't-
into
you can't
play.
Escape and you can
Emotes
undo
and
this
little
process, but the
gizmos and
amount of time you've
gadgets
already
and
sunk
stuff
into it must be paid
to mess
undo.
around with each other.
I see. And now, as this raft is getting constructed, I notice that it's essentially destructing the caravan and using that to construct the raft.
Yep, correct. And if you actually once
Visually,
it's,
it's
done constructing
nice.
The body of your caravan.
I like
is
how it
sitting
works from
on
a
the
visual and thematic perspective.
Oh, I love it.
I'm just
I
not
love that.
convinced
That's
from a
cool.
mechanical
That's some Lewis and Clark
perspective yet.
shit. I mean, stuff. Oh no.
Someone's overcompensating for something on that
now,
hill.
As we're kind
Yes,
of
my
sitting
tower
duck, we
is
should
quite
probably
large
put
and quite
some,
erect.
Maybe some scouts up near the top of that hill so we don't get
Envy
jumped, I
me.
don't know.
Honestly, it's probably a
Scouts,
religious
I can go
building.
take a look.
For whatever
I mean,
reason,
I-
religions
I
always have
can't
to
imagine that they
overcompensate.
just left.
Oh
their-
boy, we got some
Oh,
people
run,
up here.
run,
Oh no, they're being
back.
attacked.
They want their stuff back.
Wait, is there
Okay,
only like
I'm gonna go.
10
I'm gonna go
6
chill
people?
with the raft as it kind of comes down while you guys fight them for a second. I think it's almost done.
They don't have a backline.
There we
Wait,
go.
wait. Look at this. Look at
Oh,
this.
I-
Look.
Put some.
Oh, let me go find it. Where is it? Is it right here? No, it's too far. Hang on, let me back it up just a smidge. Hang on.
Lewis and Clark shit. I mean stuff.
Stuff. Oh, you
Oh no.
rascal. All right.
Now.
Look.
Okay, here we
man,
go.
I can't imagine that they just.
I
left-
see a strategic
boy.
issue here.
We got some
I
people
don't
up
see
here.
a backline disruptor from our defenders here.
They're back.
Look at
They
this
want their
dude
stuff
here.
back.
Look
Oh, no.
at Keenan
I'm gonna
here.
go up-
Just both of them, just free casting, unharassed, unharangued. They just look at their giant balls. And you know why their balls are so big and well channeled? Because no one was putting pressure on them. There's a complete strategic blunder here. I don't know why the bears are dead. They probably just got in the way. Poor things. And now, the defenders are going to have to contend with those giant balls. And I know there's some rogues or stealthers on the defending team, because we saw them. They enabled the original, like, stealth bomb for the taking it. So where are they? Where are they in all this? Are they hitting the tank? Is that them hitting a tank up there that I see? I'm pretty sure that's them hitting a tank up there that I see. Classic rogue behavior.
I'm gonna go chill with the raft as it kind of comes down while you guys.
It seems
fight
super
them for a
boring for
second.
groups that aren't either
think
super
it's
into the
almost
game
done.
or a very close-knit
There we
group who'll
go.
keep each other entertained over chat.
Ah,
Are they
I've got
NPCs
the
attacking?
raft.
No, it's actual players.
I'm
It's
running.
players versus players.
Oh god! Rangers to the ship, quickly!
Now,
Join
the
me.
advantage is the defenders
We must
had
depart this
notably
area.
more players in this fight. Although this fight is
Alright,
still
we'll catch back
ongoing,
up.
so good to the attackers there. They're holding up.
Everyone
Well, that's
on
because their
board.
backline is completely unfazed. Their backline, you
Chris-
just saw it. Their backline is still completely
catch back up.
unfazed and attacking. Nobody has laid a hand on those two
Everyone on board.
mages. They're causing so much battlefield
Bucky, do what
disruption.
you can to
Their
hold
team
them.
hasn't wiped yet.
It's just some rabble, you know. These guys don't have anything on us.
Easy.
Mopping them up.
How you doing, Davey?
I expect you to make quick work of them. Chris, are you with me or are you over there? I don't know where I'm going.
I'm running down. I'll run to you. I'm abandoning the fight.
Okay. We'll
Yeah,
wait,
we've
we'll wait for
taken
you.
them out. We're coming back now.
Okay, very nice.
We'll run along the shore.
I like the. I love
The boat
raft.
animations feel a
It's looking
little
good. I know
floaty
Adam
so
worked pretty
far.
hard on the new water shader.
I mean, the
Looks
water looks
beautiful.
decent enough.
It's a nice
I
day
like
out.
it. It's decent enough.
It definitely turned out real nice. And shout out to Hal for the raft.
Yes. Oh, the raft looks so good. I'm assuming we're going.
Watch
left,
the
yes.
animations of them,
So
especially
we're gonna
as
keep
the
going straight
raft
here?
rocks and wobbles in the water. It feels a little flighty, a little floaty. Ah, he's moving the camera around too much.
Now
you can't
this
see
can
it.
be very helpful, having the option.
Yeah, look,
but it
right
can
there,
also
right
be kinda
there. You see
dangerous
how
because
feels a little
don't know who
floaty. I
might
don't know
be
if
laying
that's.
in wait
I wonder if
ahead of
that's
you
something that
along
can
the
be improved.
shorelines.
It does look a tad on.
but it also lets you, as we said, traverse the world in a little different
This
way.
see,
and there's
this
also a
guy's
current
fine.
here,
He's
correct?
staying stuck to the
Yeah, so there's a
to the floor, but he's still. I don't know.
current system that increases your speed if you go with the current. And
You can kind of
decreases it
see
if you
his
go
body
against it.
shifting a little
I
bit
think I'll
as
hit
the
you right here,
raft
Steven.
shifts, but it looks more natural because he's staying planted, whereas the others just kind of float up a bit,
And those currents are kind of different based on the location.
which is a
of the
little
river.
awkward. It's not really
Yeah,
game
they are. They're
breaking.
different based on the location of the
Valheim
river
has the
and,
same
like,
problem. No
the
one really
strength
cares at the end of the
river,
day.
right?
But
So, like,
you know, it's one of those little things
you know,
that
where we
definitely
kind of
helps to
started
iron
there
out.
was more of a lake body, so the current's not super intense. But
Ashes
you
of
know, we could have
Creation,
a
yep,
place
yep.
that's near rapids.
I like
right?
these super realistic boat physics with the
Got it.
sailboat stopping on a dime. Well,
Where are we going here? This is looking.
so the
concerning.
alternative to that is Valheim, and while
Oh,
Valheim's
Steven.
boating is kind of neat,
Did I ever tell you I have the sense of the direction
It's-
of the mongoose
Oh,
trapped in a
God!
paper bag?
also sometimes a paint. Oh god, another
Oh my
attacking
God!
quad.
Shoot
Attack us on the
Turn around.
on the
Go
rock.
the other way.
It's Keenan again. His balls are too high.
Take them out.
He needs to drop his balls.
Steven, you're gonna crash into a rock.
Oh, God.
You're gonna want to hitch a right here. I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention to my map.
They weren't even going
not
the
yet,
right
not
way.
Yet, not yet.
The ambush got lucky.
I'm trying to watch behind.
The
it.
ambush
You're gonna beach us.
was in the wrong spot, but they ended up going down the
There's
wrong
someone
way.
on board.
The attackers are going to
anymore.
lose again for the third
That was
time.
a defender.
There you go. Yeah, get in there.
Oh, heavy
Yeah,
fire on drone.
Put support on the healer.
All right, I think we made it out. We're safe now. Trad, how's it going on the battle side?
I'm
It's a lot of
outnumbered,
low
I'm
health
running.
bars.
Oh no! Meet us at the landing point. If you are a bandit, get out of there and meet us at the landing point. Don't let them follow you though.
Win the fight, then meet us.
Yes, win the fight, then meet us, or die and meet us.
How about what we do that the other way around?
Yeah, that'd be good.
I mean, okay.
So,
So I will say, there are going to be times where this is going to be alright, as they're kind of doing an okay job showcasing. If it's a guild versus guild scenario, with bragging rights on the line, and hey, this is going to help their war effort, this is going to hurt our war effort. In that scenario where it's going to be a constant influx of fighting because the guilds know what's going on and they know they want to win, I could, as long as there's enough friction and they can keep setting up enough, and you know you've got the spying and recon logistics going on around it, for a well-oiled guild machine, I could see this actually being kind of entertaining. My concern is, what about everyone else? How much is everyone else going to have to interact with this system? Because they're not going to have that same experience. In a coordinated guild versus guild effort, this could be an interesting system. For everyone else, this is going to be a snooze fest, where you occasionally get boned, or do the boning if you're feeling frisky enough. But I can see the value of this system now that I've seen it play out a bit more, especially if being able to recoup and get back into the fight is as relatively quick as they show here, to where you can just kind of lead off and get up ahead and try another ambush. I'm just concerned I'm going to have to do this if I play, and I don't want to do this.
these are obviously some of the risks.
I'd
of
rather
traveling
do other
by
things,
raft.
you know?
Let me turn down my sound effects just a little bit. There we go. Now, it's not all
At least
bad
I don't have
because
to
we can
walk
land
now,
and turn us
true.
back into
That's a good point.
land
Rafting is
caravan
definitely the
again.
way to go.
And that's
Yep.
coming up here.
I only trade downriver.
It's coming up pretty shortly. Now you can't.
I think
turn
this is
into a
actually
land
traveling
caravan
faster,
anywhere,
too.
Right? You still need, kind of like how you saw we showed up at a beach to turn into a raft. Well, we need to do something similar. And if you notice around
The
us,
UI is
there
duplicating
aren't
itself,
a huge amount of
by
beaches,
the way.
and that's super intentional to create like locations players can rely on.
Got it. Are we coming up on one up here, yeah?
That was
Yes,
a
sir.
that was a
One on the
spy.
right
I'm
there.
pretty sure. Hold on, was that a player?
Got it.
Oh yeah, there are some players. Yeah, that is players.
Coming up
I just
on
saw
the
them
right
sit
here.
down. They're like, yeah, that's a spy. They're
Yep,
reporting your
Caravan,
position
one
right
on the
now.
right there.
We're up
And
here.
our
Let me see
Red.
if
But
the-
no,
let
it
me
looks
see
like
if
that's
the
their
current kind of
team,
carries us
whoever
forward.
recovered from the
Oh, it
fight.
does.
Looks
Not
like they
moving.
won.
Our current moves. Love it.
It's a light influence for this current.
It's a very light current.
Oh wait,
All
did,
right,
did they just say
everybody
what I thought they said? Hold on.
Love it.
Above the
Let me
fence.
see if the current kind of carries us forward a little bit. Oh, it
Hey,
does.
there you go. You want
Moving.
realistic boat physics, Olsen? There
The
you go.
current
The current
moves.
will actually move your boat. This is a relatively
Above the
gentle
very-
current,
a
so it's not
light
moving very
influence for
fast,
this
but
current.
that's a good touch
Very
without
light
being
current.
overly frustrating. I like that.
All right, everybody secure the perimeter. I am converting into a land caravan again.
On it.
It has begun.
Securing perimeter.
Perimeter secured.
So after we go back and forth with the caravan turning back into a land caravan, it's keeping all the components that it had
The
before.
guy looks like a
obviously, right, Chris?
comet that lagged out and forgot where
all
it
your
was going.
components, all of the stuff in like that you've either looted or launched with sticks with you. All that good stuff.
Oh, DA's not in the raid anymore.
Reinvite him.
Let's bring DA back. I'm sure that the the opposing side is going to try one last time to recover their goods.
Oh, they will
One
for sure.
final
We need to
time.
be conscientious of that as we kind of progress through this more rocky area. There's a lot of places that
Yeah,
can
this
hide.
is. It's also very narrow. Not a lot of places for us to run.
Love the view of Carfin here. So when we get to Mirleth, though, assuming that we successfully navigate past the evil merchants, what are we going to be doing then? We're going to be turning in this cargo.
Yeah, so you're going to be able to unpack those crates, which you currently don't know what's in them. We do have a plan for.
It's good that the clergy is here
for
supporting the
kind of
war
caravans
effort.
in general, where you will be able to look into them, but you haven't done your grind, Steven.
What?
There's what, 1, 2, 3 people, 4 people in that outfit. I'm assuming that's a cleric-related
Nope,
outfit.
and
5
you're
people.
also going to go and turn in those black market, or not the black market certificates, the stolen commodities at the black market to make some money.
It looks like a lot of people are running maybe cleric mage,
Hey guys,
some
obviously
kind
as
of
you're
cleric
watching
mage
this,
combo.
you're seeing the kind of transition.
Because I see people
Again,
do very
as a
cleric-looking
reminder,
stuff and then
everything
suddenly
you're
just
seeing is a work in
teleport,
progress,
like using
especially
blink
from
and
an art
stuff.
perspective.
Oh, that's an interesting.
UI,
I
visual
kind of like that
effects,
melt away effect.
animation. Those are all still works in progress. I'm gonna jump on this.
It's a pretty good looking work in
Okay,
progress,
right now.
honestly. It's not bad.
I am
We're
ready.
back.
Let's do this.
Alright.
I'm speed boosting.
It would be very nice if some tanks
Oh.
were on the front line.
Use
with this
Alt
sad
F.
little mage.
Get out
Do
of
it,
the
you
way.
coward. Hit the
Yeah,
button.
Let's send
Go
some,
get Trev.
Nuke
some
everyone.
Rangers ahead too in their camo. Get some scouting going.
Nice.
A little bit of server lag there. This is the authentic
Must protect.
experience.
I'm in danger.
I'm in danger.
I need an adult.
Go tread. Dispense the heathens.
We should pull
It's
back a
Keenan.
little, maybe.
Keenan's
Walk the
ready.
Cliff up on the right here.
He's got his balls in
I
hand.
got eyes.
He's going to wreak
Awesome.
chaos, although his
Alright,
balls
stay
don't
out of
work
my
from
way.
an
I'm just
elevated
gonna
position.
go
Wait,
straight
wait,
up.
they're
I'm
working.
just
It's
Send
happening.
it, Steven.
I'm
Wait.
going straight through. Everybody get out of my way.
Wait. So why did that? So in the last attack over the water, the balls went straight out and did not drop. But here they kind of went down the. Okay, so I was worried that skill would be of questionable usefulness because it didn't follow the terrain. But now it looks like I wonder if that was a bug, or if there's some kind of weird interaction with water because they were firing out over water.
Run.
But here it looks like it worked properly. Did that ball just fly in the
Oh,
air?
God.
What the hell? It looks like it might just be a bug. Sometimes
Gotta
the
see
balls
some
like to go
sides.
airborne.
It's worth it though.
Tanks pull them down from the rock. Use your javelins.
We have the high ground. We have the well,
Oh,
sir.
no,
They're
no.
walking away from the high ground slowly, and we're not
Walking
doing
right
it.
through them, honestly. I haven't really
Sir,
scared
I
at
don't
all.
think the
I don't
high
have enough
ground
to
is
test us.
important in a mobile
Yeah.
attack situation.
They fear the might of our.
We may need to get
Bandit
down
army.
from the cliffside. They can pick off stragglers here, though. That's going to
I
be
remember
huge.
this way. Last time there were a bunch of zombies.
That's a
and
standard
skeletons.
World v World tactic in Guild
Yeah.
Wars 2.
Yep, I think the world team has changed.
Have your
them to
roamers
rock
pick off
golem.
the tail end of the enemy
The
Zerg
world state has changed, perhaps.
to push the advantage and get a numerical
Maybe they changed the rock
That's
golems.
that's gonna be a
boom
Jeremy
over your
question.
enemies.
And we've left Vertec.
The environments
Good
are nice. I like the
sacrifice.
environment. Is
Did we
that a
make
little
it
cave?
out?
Careful,
We're
they're coming up.
still being
Hey,
chased.
everybody up here, go back and kill those people. Don't let them near me.
Back fiends.
Keenan's racking up the kill count.
I'm gonna use my last speed boost.
They will learn to
God, they
fear
use
the
dark
name
magic.
Keenan.
Where's the rock elemental?
Oh,
Yeah, don't pull aggro.
Definitely not.
where's Keenan? I don't see Keenan. Is he alive?
railing-
God, I hope
railing
he's
behind
alive.
you.
Oh, I found the skeletons. Cycletons.
Yes, that's what I wanted you to do.
Those skeletons are not going to do any significant damage to your caravan. Keep going.
They've
Run them
overextended.
over. They're just bones.
Fools.
Don't get him, Keenan.
I cannot heal
Oh,
Ooh,
where are you?
that is satisfying.
Oh,
Like
I
it
see, I
even
see.
curved gently. It's not like it just angled towards them and fired out in a straight line. It actually curved and
My
arced
gosh.
into the
you. Oh, we're
target.
almost there.
I like that. That was a real good animation. Most games do
We're so
terrible
close.
job with lightning animations. This game seems decent so far. The balls are a little derpy.
You know, I'm really envious of you,
But
Steven, being able to
that chain lighting
like,
looked
sit
pretty
and
cool.
drive something while we all have to walk.
I know.
My legs hurt.
Honestly, it's not a very comfortable ride. The suspension on this vehicle
Leaves something
and the
to be
rocks on the
desired.
ground.
He's going to have hemorrhoids after this,
Well,
is
you
what
know,
he's
the
saying.
roads will upgrade when the node levels up, and it'll get a little nicer.
That's true.
Aim
That's a
his
good
ball.
point. So as the nodes advance,
Maybe.
as we've said in the past, the roads advance as well, and that speed buff does get some benefit.
Yep,
Well-
and a road like this would eventually become stone, right? So the caravan won't be as bumpy.
We have almost arrived.
Actually, the suspension doesn't look that bad. Look at the
Mirror left.
suspension putting in work right now.
I've
You
lost
can
the
actually
road buff,
see
that
the
was super
suspension of the
slow.
wheels, too. They actually animated that
They're
in.
officially in Miraleth.
I still see Lex behind us.
I
Is
don't
Lex
know
on
if
the
it's
good
just
side or the
if it's
bad
part of
side?
the
He's on our side
animation
now.
or if it's actually
have enemies
determined
coming up
by
there.
the bump and roll of the
So
wheels.
still
But
Haven't killed them?
Yeah,
Guards,
kill-
get them.
Kill the.
If I
Kill,
had more heals, I'd be up there.
looks like it's just
Somebody
part of the
help them
animation.
kill
All
these
right, go,
people.
Still,
Trad. I'll stay
not
with
bad.
you until the end. We're going in. Don't,
hear about
don't
it.
wait up for us, guys.
I don't even think they followed.
Oh,
They've
God.
made it to
Well,
town.
they're
Nice
waiting.
one.
Good,
Go.
good, good.
Get him. He's running in.
We've almost arrived.
Who's that?
A solo hero.
The river town of Miraleth.
Oof.
This is the longest stretch too, because you're finally there. It's
that
the final leg, but the damn horses have
a
run out
very
of
nice
stamina,
little
are
note.
real slow, and now it's like, oh come on, we're here.
So now
We've made it.
I have
Please.
some stolen commodities in the form of
My space bar's worn
stolen
out.
goods,
I can't jump anymore.
and then I also have cargo.
Yep, and I believe I remember you saying you picked up a bunch of
Rubies?
candles and a bunch of and a couple of crates. Now the crates are a mystery, so I'll walk you through how to find out what goes in them.
We did it.
Yes.
We've done it. Should I dismount?
Yeah, get off that thing.
Alright.
Great work, everybody.
Well done, everyone.
Here,
Beautiful.
this is the
You'll be
place
paid
where every
10 copper for
PK
your
going to
services,
wait.
and I'll get the rest.
I don't know. I don't think they
Now, where
could
are we
kill
gonna
the
go
caravan
to
fast
to turn
enough.
this
First,
stuff in?
first thing we're gonna do, come back this way. We're gonna talk to the caravan.
If the
master.
caravan's in motion.
Talk about a
Okay.
change since last you guys saw the caravan system.
Also, if you do
open
that, you
up
run a
and
risk of
switch
other
to the
people
storage of the caravan you have
zooming
here, you'll
out
see
and
the
grabbing
goods
your
are
loot
still
too.
in
So
there.
I don't think so.
Do you see
I'm
the
sure
goods in
there's
there,
some
Steve?
people are going to try,
Cargo
but
storage, yes, I do.
I don't feel like it's a great
So,
idea.
You're gonna
Because at
part
that
of the
point, all the
change is
defenders have to
that
do
when you let
is stall you long enough that the caravan can cross the line. I'm assuming once the caravan crosses the line, it's considered safe and you can no longer kill it. So you've completely changed the dynamic into defenders' favor if you attack this close to the finish line or the starting line. Because they no longer have to beat you, they just have to stall you out, which is much easier than beating you. So I do think if you're going to attack caravans, it's going to have to be out at least some distance away. It may be relatively close to town, but it won't be at the finish line by any stretch of the imagination.
And a caravan, it doesn't automatically flood the node's cargo with the stuff that was on your caravan. It stays on the caravan as additional cargo storage.
Okay.
So what you're going to do, if you notice, there's a couple of crates. I think they're 2x1s in there.
Yes, I see those.
So you're gonna-
medium crates.
You're going to right-click that.
Okay. Oh, look at that. There's some basalt in these.
So
Basalt.
what you can do is unpack that crate, which is going to move the goods that were
Very
in there
hexagonal.
into your material inventory. But unpacking takes time, so they're going to be
Delicious.
locked for a period of time.
The
Okay, so
icon
I
art
won't
looks
see them
decent
in
too
my-
for
You will
everything
see
so
them in your
far.
material inventory, but you won't be able to take them out. So if you want to go ahead and unpack it, you can tab over to the material inventory and check it out.
Just show up there later because it's not showing up there now.
Did you hit the unpack button?
Oh, I did not. Oh, good call.
Hey.
Oh, that was good. That was good. Okay. All right. So they're
What is
locked right
basalt
now.
used for?
Oh, okay.
What is the practical? I know it's I believe it's a relatively hard stone. What are the practical applications of basalt? Does anyone know? What would you use basalt for, especially in like a medieval setting? Hmm. Let me take a look. This is what phones are for. Medieval applications for basalt. What was basalt used for? That's a modern day. An ancient material. Okay, yeah. But what was it used for in ancient time? Right now it's called basalt fiber. An ancient material for innovation, modern application. Yeah, okay. This is all modern stuff. I don't care about the modern stuff. I want historical. Tools, weapons, and artists. Okay, so art, weapons, tools. Yeah, so it's a relatively hard stone. Holds up well to use. Okay. Yeah, fair enough. Guess that answers that. Probably some structures as well then, I would guess. Alright. Well played.
So in 5 minutes, I can access.
I
them.
assume they're going to
Now
use that
timer
for some
scales
building
with how the node
construction.
progresses. That's actually an extremely fast unpacking time. But typically it's going to be on the scale of days.
Okay, very cool.
And then if you want to...
what about these Everburn scented candles?
Those are commodities. You're going to be able to sell that to the commodity man.
Oh, do I put those where in the storage?
You
In
can
the
just leave it.
cargo?
You can just leave them right there. I can show you. Come on
Oh,
this
okay.
way.
All right, sweet. And now, obviously,
What about the stolen
the
goods?
unpack time, fees, everything associated with it, those are all options that you can choose to manipulate within a node. So you can make your node kind of the, hub for trade or for landing caravans and whatnot, depending on the options that the cities choose.
Exactly. So if you go ahead and talk to this vendor here,
Okay.
it should open up your storage as well. And if you go to cargo,
Oops. All right. Go to cargo.
and check out your cargo in Miraleth,
Done.
you should be able to sell those commodities to this gentleman straight from your caravan inventory if you scroll down to the bottom of your cargo inventory.
Oh, there it is. Yes, very nice. Okay, cool. Oops, hold on, let me fix that. Now, guys, remember, UI is a work in progress right now. This is very functional, not playable.
Functional, not
okay, so I see a
playable.
bunch of these.
I
can
like
sell
that.
them
That's a
right
good
now.
description.
What am I selling? them
Embrace
for?
the
Oh,
scuff.
you're selling them for gold. You stole
Right,
another
but-
man's potential
I,
gold.
didn't- I recovered them. They stole it from us to begin with.
That's right.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
We're the good
It's
guys, Chris.
Do I right-click those to sell
Yep,
them?
right click them to sell them. This is functionality
Sell
we showed
price
in the last
0.
live stream. It's just they weren't yours to begin with.
Now I see when I right-click it, it opens up the crate, and inside I see nothing. That could be a bug.
That's a bug.
That could be a bug. Guys, you're going to see some bugs. That's the way
So
things go.
last thing I want to show you though, Steven.
Yes.
I want you to, while
So
you're talking to this
selling
vendor,
here.
in
We
your
get the
inventory,
point. It's fine.
your player
Okay.
inventory, you
Yep.
should have those
stolen
goods
crate,
that you
yeah.
got from the crate that you opened
Oh,
up.
yes.
So if you
Okay, I
talk to
have some
this,
stolen commodities.
if you talk to this gentleman and hover over it, it'll tell you how much they sell for to the commodity vendor. But don't sell them.
All right.
Yeah, we know a guy, Steven.
Sell price $0.
I'm talking to this vendor, and do I just hover over them in my backpack?
Yep.
Sell price, it says, is 0.
So this man is not going to give you a lot of money for
He's
that.
above board.
Oh,
He doesn't want to
we've-
risk the
we've got
law
a guy.
coming
Come
down
follow
on
me.
his
Yeah,
head.
we got a guy.
Smart.
Oh, he doesn't trade in stolen goods.
Yeah, he's a reputable vendor, but
Okay.
Yellow Dream. We're just looking at little ashes of
Or
creation.
Somebody over
So
here.
this is the new upgraded marketplace here.
They're
in
showing
Mirror
off
Labs.
their caravan system,
Now,
the
as we
PvP
kind of
side
briefly
of it.
mentioned, there
As
are
well as some
upgrade
mechanical
packs to the
updates.
marketplace. Now, this one's been expanded, so if you follow me into this little back alley and into this little outhouse,
This is where the best business. Oh, it's a
Oh.
fake outhouse. Ooh,
Oh,
we've
It's a
found the black
disguise.
market.
My
that's kind of cool.
goodness.
Using the outhouse as a
Ophelia
disguise.
Blackwater. Now, this was because this is an expansion that Miraleth has in their market.
Correct. Yeah. So marketplaces
20
don't normally come with a
silver
black
per,
market, and it's
okay.
a part of the expansion.
I don't know if
tree,
that's a
so
lot,
it's a choice you can
but it
make
sounds
on your
good.
marketplace to be where bandits take their stuff.
So I'm going to right-click on the stolen commodities.
Yep.
Oh,
And now
okay.
you have a bunch of
Give me
money.
some gold.
Wow.
Very nice.
I don't know if that's a lot though.
I've sold it.
And now
Not
you have
sure
to
if
pay
that
us
was
all,
worth the
so
whole
everyone line
journey.
up to get traded.
all right, yep. Where's my cut?
Oh, yeah. Okay, everybody line up. All right,
Everyone,
everybody
you
line
get
up
your
there a
one
little bit.
pittance.
All right,
Your
well
one
done, and then
shilling.
Just
Another
wait
line.
here. I'll be right back. Oh, no, wait. Let me.
Hey, block the door.
Oh, no. Okay. I'll
And
be
he's
back. You
running
guys
with the
stay
money.
there.
That's
Ladies
it.
and
That's how it
gentlemen,
happens.
we have just seen some PvP. We've seen some white water rafting. We've seen
And
some
we've seen some
caravan,
white collar
um,
crime.
events. And
Th-
we've
there's
had a
your
great time.
exit.
A little
Nobody
bit
to
of some
stop
bugs,
you.
Obviously, this is still our road to Alpha 2, so that's to be expected. But I do want to thank, obviously, our developers for joining us and explaining everything, our testers for helping participate so that we're able to kind of show off all of these systems. And as a reminder, of course, I know I can't say this enough, as we continue to progress towards Alpha 2,
Mhm.
you will continue to see polish be
That
done,
shi- look-
bugs
wait,
get
look
fixed,
at the
stability
sh-
improve, performance
He's holding the
improve.
shield
Right
upside
now, we
down
are
on the
on that road.
Just because he went into an
We've just
animation,
come off
it's
of
kind of
heavy
weird how that
development
flips
of a
around
feature,
like that.
and core systems,
Okay.
features and core systems.
Fair enough.
And now we're going to be refining that. We're going to be tightening that loop, and we're going to be fixing things up so that we can get a lot of people in game and start testing. these,
Animations and
these
shields
systems.
have
I
always
hope you
gone
guys
hand
enjoyed
in
today.
hand.
We had a lot of fun doing it, and there's a lot of stuff still yet to show. But with that being said, thank you all for joining me, and thank you for watching. We'll see you back on stream.
Bye.
Okay, so that was it. That was the caravan preview.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. We do have
The
quite a
Ranger
few
update.
questions, but it looks like most people really enjoyed it. I will be playing it in the background whilst we chat.
Okay.
Despite the odds of our team being severely outnumbered, we managed to overcome.
Wait,
that
your team
just
had the number
completely
advantage the
imbalanced
entire
setup
time.
with the defending team and defeated them. I hope you guys enjoyed that demonstration.
I
It
think
was
that's the
tough.
point, though.
I think they couldn't see everybody that was battling you, so
Yes,
they thought the numbers weren't even.
we didn't. The numbers weren't even, purposely so, right? I mean,
Yeah.
guys, remember, part of this demonstration is to show off certain systems. So, yes, a lot of these things are kind of run of show. We're intended to defeat them. We're intended to take their stuff. We're intended to transition to the raft. That's the
Obviously.
intent, right? And so don't get too harsh on the defending side. They were purposefully
Keenan was a
outnumbered. We even
champ.
changed their composition. not to
Nobody
let
can
them have
change
too
my
many
mind on
healers.
that. I saw him
So,
casting those
it was
balls, that
unfortunate
chain
for them.
lightning. He was doing
Yeah.
work. Keenan was the hero
I do
of
have
this
quite a few
story.
questions. The first one here is, how will risk versus reward be balanced for both the caravan attackers and defenders? Some folks kind of seemed like they were feeling like defenders were at a disadvantage.
They're at a disadvantage,
Yeah, I mean,
and they have
here's the thing.
way more to
Emergent
lose.
gameplay, such as this, right? Caravans are the induction
The
of
attackers have
emergent
very
gameplay, which
low
means
risk
you
and very
cannot
high reward.
predict the situation you're going to be in when you use a caravan. That's part of the risk. The risk is the unknown. If you could predict it, then your ability to mitigate that risk would unfortunately remove that dynamic, that ratio of risk versus reward. So you might come into situations where you didn't anticipate. Whoops. Did we lose? Are we back? Okay,
I
we're
don't
back.
think we're down.
Oh, I was
On
just
my end,
looking
it's
at
just shown
chat.
green.
Okay.
So that's weird. I have no idea.
I think we're still here, so it's fine. Okay.
Twitch being Twitch.
So
Don't
anyways,
worry
as
about
I was
it.
saying, you cannot predict the risk. That is part of the equation, right? In some cases, you may want to over provision depending on how valuable your load is
Yeah,
on the
but
caravan, right?
I mean, he's talking about the risk for the defender. Nobody cares about the defender's risk. The risk for the defender is obvious. It's whatever resources you're having and whatever you put into getting this caravan off the ground. What people are concerned about is the risk for the attackers. What are the attackers investing into this? Other than a small amount of time. They're not. They have everything to gain and nothing to lose, as far as I can tell. Which basically just means it's going to be a free parade. Anytime a caravan goes out, I mean, that's just free money, baby. Might as well attack it. That don't even matter if we got a chance. If we get in there and we do it, boom. That's free money. Yeah, sure, you could say maybe it's consumables, but consumables are going to be relatively cheap compared to what the defenders have to lose. And they're at a disadvantage because, as we can see right here, you can start off with quite the bang as the attackers, since you're in full control of the initiation. So this is extremely skewed in the risk versus reward for the attackers in their favor, from what I've seen. So that's questionable. They're gonna have to figure some way of getting increased investment. So one of two things is gonna happen, or three things I can think of off the top of my head. First of all, the obvious one, increase the risk factor for the attackers. But how are they going to do that in a meaningful way that doesn't feel super gamey? Don't know. I'm not a designer. Second option, dramatically increase the defender's advantage. That way attacking is significantly more difficult. So the risk is you waste your time, but the reward is you get a bit of money and resources. Hey, there you go. And the caravanners are at an advantage in defense for whatever reason. Maybe, like I said, you could turn the caravan into like a mobile assault platform, basically. Or have it some defenses or something. I don't know. Some kind of advantage for the defenders. That way they're less likely to lose an engagement, all things being equal. Probably the most realistic way to do it. Alternatively, the easiest way to do it is just simply only allow the attackers a certain percentage of the goods. Although that's still heavily, because yeah, even if they only get like 25% of the goods on the cart, that still heavily skews in favor of the attackers because hey, oh god, how do you handle the other 80%? It's obviously it can't go immediately to its destination, so it goes back to where it came from. Well, great. So the defenders are out a significant amount of time, 25% of the resources, and are still at a disadvantage in every capacity. So I don't see that as being a viable solution either. I don't know. I don't see. Maybe he'll
That means
discuss it or something.
it's better to travel
Don't worry
with
about it.
friends.
It's
There might be
just Abby
mercenary
in the
guilds that you can
background.
bring along. You can invest more in the components
She's
of the
having a good
caravan
time.
so that it's more defensible, more maneuverable. You might want to go at unique times so you can mitigate the potential resistance. You need to ensure that the flow of information around what you're intending to do is restricted to a close, circle of trusted friends or guildmates. Like there's a lot of different dynamic variables that exist within a system like this to answer that question.
Make it easy to steal some of the cargo if planned right.
And then the next one here
Maybe.
is the time to kill seen during PvP
Gear
in
loss
stream kind of like
is in the normal game.
right
As far as I'm
when
aware,
you're wanting
no.
it, or if it's
Gear
not,
loss
Yeah.
tends to fall into
because
some
do you think
weird
that will find anything?
categories,
Obviously, balance is
especially,
not-
I don't know.
Sure.
not
A lot of
balancing
people
quite
don't
yet.
like
Preface
Yeah,
loot
so-
this.
PvP.
Yeah, so when we talk about time to kill, you'll notice
So
here,
that's
and we're
probably
gonna
not
put
a
this
great
video up
solution
in
either. It's going to
4K
chase more
shortly
people away
after
than
the
it's going to
stream,
bring
so
in.
I know that obviously the bitrate on Twitch is not super friendly to a high definition video, but
It sure isn't.
afterwards you can take a look. When you do watch the video again, take notice of how, and this is a big point of discussion that I would love to get the community's feedback on, and we've talked about this in the past. But if you are targeting another player, specifically another player, not an NPC, if you're targeting another player, and that player is not a member of your guild, alliance, raid, or party, okay? Those are the 4 affiliation factors. If they're not a part of those 4 groups, you will not have specific information of their HP level. You will have quarters of information to their XP level, and you may progress
Kitty.
to get that a bit more granular, perhaps to
So,
6ths or 8ths.
He didn't really
You're
end
not
up
gonna-
giving a satisfactory answer to the. I don't know if he just misunderstood the question, but he kept talking about risk versus reward for the defenders. Like, hey, you're gonna have to the risk is high. The more you invest in countering the risk, the more you're gonna having information or going at Southeast Asian time when everyone else is asleep, except for the no lifers, who will definitely still attack you and probably win because they're going to be the better people at playing the game. But he kind of discussed it from the Caravanner's perspective. We already know the Caravanner's risk versus reward. That's not the consideration. That's not the question. That's not the concern. The attackers, that's what people are concerned about. The attackers have, through this entire PvP example for the Caravan, the attackers invested nothing into any of this. I don't know if maybe there was a cost for them calling their own caravan out, but even so, that's still a significantly smaller cost than, all the cargo. So he didn't really give a satisfactory answer about that. They're going to have to come up with something to make it so it isn't just an attacker-favored shit show. Because if that's the case, people just... Ooh, worst case scenario. You have to engage with the caravan system and it's still super attacker-focused. That's probably the worst case scenario. Because then you don't have a choice. You're stuck using the system. This is going to be mostly an issue for guilds. The alternative solution, or answer, not solution. The alternative answer is guilds will just create human conga lines and just start running supplies. It'll probably be quite a bit slower than caravanning. Actually, it might not even be slow. It might even be faster because the caravan is so slow. Why use the caravan when you can just load a bunch of crap up on your characters and just haul it? Just get the whole guild together. Get all 30 people. That's probably significantly safer and less risky than using the caravan system, unless there's things that can only be transported via caravan. In which case, I guess the reward is you get to get the stuff where it needs to go. Is that enough reward to counter the risk? I don't know.
Have exact information about what amount of hit points they have available to them. That level of obfuscation protects a bit of that engagement, that TTK interaction, right? So you might overshoot a target if you don't know exactly if they're down to their last 20% or 25%, right? That, I think, is a very healthy thing to have in PvP, but it is not a normal game design mechanic, right? In fact, It's not normal for modern day MMOs to have that component. It was normal for more old school games to have that with MMOs, something I personally enjoyed, but it's a great point of discussion for you guys in the audience to talk about what that means. So when we
Mhm.
talk about TTK, you'll see here, as Margaret said, we haven't done a definitive balance pass. And there's a reason for that, right? We're not in the right stage to yet do that definitive balance pass because we're still touching some of the skills of each of the archetypes and revamping them and playing around with them. But generally, when it comes to finger in the wind, we're around where we want to be for TTK, right? And
Time to kill is always a
that's
tough one
probably on
because
the
if
bit
it's too
faster
short, it's not
side
satisfying.
of TTK for MMOs that we're accustomed to. But we're a PVX game as well, so discuss that as well.
If your
Right.
time to
And
kill is too
what's really
quick,
funny is
you're
how I
not
know you're
really
not looking at
utilizing
the
kits.
questions,
Things
but
just
the
kind of
next one
blow
was about
over.
the
It's not
HP and not being
satisfying.
able
But
to
if it's
see
too
anybody's
long,
HP.
like
Didn't want to cover anything else in regards to that. 'Cause people were wondering if that's on purpose or not.
tank healer
Yeah,
arenas in World of Warcraft
that is
where
on
you're spending
purpose, as
10
I
minutes
talked
to
about,
kill
like
one
that level
person,
of
that's
obscurity, I
obviously a
think
problem
adds an
too.
interesting dynamic to combat. If you're not certain of the outcome of an action, that is going to change
Time to
the
kill is always a
decisions
tricky
you
one
make, right?
because it
And
needs to be
that
long enough
level
to be
of
satisfying but
variability in
short enough to
combat
not be a drag.
yields outcomes that can be drastically different from situation to situation. It's not as
Hey,
prescribed.
Mike, how you
And I think
doing?
that's an
What's
important
good?
interaction in PvP. Now, PvE is a little bit different. You will see exactly the HP of the monster you're fighting, right? And that level of prescription, I think, is okay. And we can address that with certain types of behavior trees and the way the NPCs interact with the player character. That can be a little bit unpredictable to influence that with a variable nature. But in PvP, I
Mhm.
think it's okay to have that level of obfuscation.
And then this
Makes
one is
sense.
more just people curious about
No
what
real
the blue
argument about
lines
that.
were
I think
that were
that's
coming
fine.
from people. And yes, that was a cleric ability.
No
That was a
concerns.
heal that was chaining out.
There's a funny story about that blue line that's going between people. So that's an ability of protection essentially from the tank archetype.
Oh, the other one?
Um,
Okay.
yeah, the
Tanks
blue line
protect
that's
your
between them.
healers.
Okay, yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Kill
So
bots at
funny
the
story.
ready.
Screen right now.
Yeah, funny story.
So,
Monday we had
interestingly
that 10-hour
enough,
test session.
that blue line is designed to protect the healers, but it also essentially draws a big neon sign. Hey, that's the healer. Go shank them. Hey, focus fire this person who's got the defensive beam on them. It'll pay off in the long run. Don't you worry about that, sonny boy. You just attack them blue. Although you could create mind games then, where the tanks are like defending bruisers and stuff like that, making the bruisers harder to kill. I think there could be an interesting meta around that. But at the same time, if you're just going basic bitch with it, like, hey, I'm the tank and I'm defending my healer, you're gonna get your healer killed. Like, they won't be able to kind of like hide in the crowd, you know? Which has always been kind of an important element for a healer staying alive in mass scale MMO combat, PvP specifically, is hiding in the chaos. It's going to make that a lot more difficult.
And we were experiencing some server crashes. And we were inspecting our logs and taking a look at what was happening, and we couldn't exactly see what was happening because it looked like everything on the server was running okay. And so we adjusted our logging to a more verbose setting, and we found out that the crash was the result of an infinite loop because that ability redirects damage to the tank. And during the playtest, we had some tanks that were casting that ability on each other. And so two people would have that ability cast on the opposite person. They'd take damage, and the damage would cause an infinite loop on the server between each other where the damage was getting redirected. Oh, it was good times.
The little things you don't experience until you have mass combat.
Yes.
But yeah, exciting.
No. Because there'd be no benefit to that because they'd both be taking at the end of the day, if they're sharing the damage, they'd both be taking the same amount of damage they would be if they weren't linked. It's not that this is only something that comes out when you have mass scale combat and a lot of people. This is what happens when idiots finally get their hands on your system. Players are, generally speaking, dumb as hell. And I don't mean on an intellectual, like, IQ level. I mean, they do dumb shit just to see what'll happen. So you gotta wait until the floodgates open to all the imbeciles like myself. Because that's something I would do. I've found bugs in games doing exactly that kind of thing. Just being like, well, hey, what if we just do this? Yeah, mathematically it should do nothing. But what if we do it anyway, just because it's memey? And we're stupid, and we find that entertaining. You like the community manager. She is distracting me, Joe. She's a married woman now, Raider. She's a married woman. For shame. Okay.
Heal, but I see.
Yes.
Are we able to summon our caravans before the combat has ended? So some people were saying like, hey, it looks like we already are
Yeah.
winning. Could we have placed it beforehand? That way we're not
Absolutely.
sitting around waiting.
Yeah, you can totally do that. But again, these are evaluations you need to make when you're out in the wild. By having a caravan, you are drawing attention to yourself
Every
because
face
players can
scam.
see that from
I
a distance, from a
couldn't.
zone, from a radius.
That's the
perspective,
erasure of
and they can choose to
humankind.
engage you early
I
on.
can't partake
Now,
in
another
erasure.
thing to take into account is when a caravan
It
gets
would be
destroyed,
wrong.
its components get destroyed as well. And you have to repurchase the caravan and you have to repurchase the components. So that's a decision that you get to make, right? Is it worth the risk to have the caravan more readily available? Or do you want to summon your caravan that
The only
has
good thing
perhaps
about
high
that,
cost
the game
components
looks,
associated
well,
with it
the caravans
after
are
you've
questionable,
ensured
but the
that
game
the
around it
need
looks
for the
pretty good.
caravan exists? Right, those are some decisions that need to be made on the player
Yeah,
player
because if you
character side.
don't and they have backup and they're on their way, now your caravan could potentially be
Absolutely.
destroyed too. Speaking
Yes.
of destroyed caravans, people are wondering, like, why did we make the decision that you have to destroy the caravan to get the loot instead of like taking over the caravan?
Sure. There is going to be ways for players to take over the driving position of vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
This exists for both water vehicles as well as land vehicles like caravans. However, there is a lockout period where the driver is capable of restricting use of the driver's seat essentially for a period of time. If you manage to kill everyone, you will be able to take control of the vehicle after
But
that
you still
period
have
of
to
time
wait. Oh, yeah,
and
yeah.
try
You
to
still have
move
to
it.
wait it out.
But by doing so, you will be conferring the location of that vehicle to the original owner and potentially their raid. And after a while, it may despawn given the distance between you and the owner.
Okay. So you wouldn't really get the rewards that you would want from it.
You could take it somewhere, then destroy it, right?
Gotcha.
But if you're talking about turning it in, if
Yeah.
you were to use their caravan at the node, it would turn in for them. So you don't
Okay.
want to take
Yeah,
it and
yeah.
attempt to turn it
So
in because
basically,
it's tied to the
there's no
owner.
point.
But
You're
you might
better
want to
off
take it
just
off
destroying
into a
it
little
and
area away
immediately.
from combat per se. If you can take
Because
control
apparently
of the
it pings
vehicle,
them, so they're going to
and
know
destroy
exactly
it
where
there.
you're going.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so there's really no point in taking
Just
it
wanted to
over. You just
clarify, 'cause
destroy
people
it.
might be like, oh.
And I see a question in
yourself.
chat from
Yeah,
Winter
go
too.
for
It
it.
says, "Does the despawn leave the loot on the ground?" Yes, that's correct. Either the destruction of the vehicle or the despawn
We'll leave the loot. Okay.
will result in the loot being deployed to the ground or in the water.
That's
In
fair.
the case of merchant ships.
Can players?
This is starting to feel very
instantly
DD2.
summon
I
boats
mean,
later
this
as,
is
like,
the
under
future of
halfway
Darkest
during the
Dungeon,
raft
baby.
building
This is
process?
Darkest
So
Dungeon
let's
3.
say the raft is being built and we want to deploy our boats so that we can assist, or is there only space to deploy a
Ship.
certain amount of boats?
So ships can only be spawned at harbor locations. And there's a very important note about rivers as well. Rivers
Okay.
can only be used by caravan rafts. Ships that are intended for the ocean cannot travel upstream in a river. It is too shallow, right? And that is not the intended gameplay there. But if you're
So the
talking
big
about
boats.
Historically speaking, that is not true. Ships use rivers all the time. Maybe not like big old man o' wars, but it is not uncommon for ships to use rivers. So, realistically speaking, unless it's a particularly shallow river, which I guess in the context of an MMO it probably is, but in the real world, ships use rivers all the time. Ship types for both. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyway, I just figured I'd add that. So I think we've seen what we need to see now. It was an interesting update. I'm still not entirely sold on the Caravan system, but hey, it's iterative. There's work to be done. We'll see what they come up with. My biggest concern is boredom factor, necessity, and risk versus reward for attackers versus defenders. So those would be the 3 issues I levy against it. But we'll see. Age of Sail also has a lot of canals and boats pulled by horses. Well, there you go. Yeah. It was less so. Modern day ocean vessels and river vessels are different classes, though. Oh, yeah, I can see that. I was mostly talking old-timey, too. Like, you know, the age of sailing. But, yeah. Okay, well, that was the update. We're going to get switched over to Rogue Trader now. It's been 2 hours. I might go ahead and take my break quick while we transition over. Yeah, I'll probably take my break quick. Hey, you need to go to the bathroom yet? Are you asleep? Are you dead? Nah, I saw your foot twitch. You were alive. Alright. Is Joe going to actually play a game? It happens sometimes.